I Googled what I saw on the camera feed. The results. I wish I hadn't looked. Because once you know what's watching through your smart home devices, you can't unknow it. You can't unsee it. And you definitely can't make it stop watching you. My name is Derek Okonkwo. I'm 36 years old. I install smart home systems for a living. Security cameras, video doorbells, smart locks, thermostats, the whole connected ecosystem that's supposed to make your life easier and your home safer. I've been doing this job for 8 years. Started back when smart homes were a luxury, something only tech bros and early adopters bothered with. Now everyone wants one. Every new construction home in Austin comes pre-wired for it. Every homeowner wants to watch their front porch from their phone, unlock their door remotely, see who's ringing the bell without getting off the couch. I've installed thousands of these systems, configured hundreds of camera networks, set up countless motion sensors and smart speakers, and connected everything to everything else until houses became living, breathing technological organisms. I thought I understood how it all worked. I was wrong. The job that changed everything was in Cedar Park, just north of Austin, new construction neighborhood. One of those developments where every house looks the same. Beige stucco, terracotta roof tiles, xeriscaped front yards to save water. The kind of place where young families move to escape the city prices, where everyone works in tech and drives electric cars and believes in the promise of the connected future. The Hendersons had just closed on their house. 4 bedrooms, 3 baths, a home office for him, and a yoga studio for her. They wanted the full package. Nest Link cameras at every entrance, smart locks on all exterior doors, a video doorbell, motion sensors in every room, smart thermostats, and the whole thing integrated with their voice assistants. Standard job. I'd done 100 just like it. The installation took 2 days. Day 1 was running cables and mounting hardware. Day 2 was configuration, getting all the devices talking to each other, setting up the app on their phones, walking them through how everything worked. Mrs. Henderson was particularly interested in the cameras. "Can I see all of them at once?" she asked, looking at the app on her phone. "Like a grid?" "Sure." I showed her how to switch to the multi-feed view. All 6 cameras appeared on her screen in a neat grid. Front door, back door, garage, side yard, living room, nursery. "Perfect," she said, unconsciously touching her stomach. She was about 5 months pregnant, I guessed. "I want to be able to check on everything when I'm at work." "You'll be able to see everything," I assured her. 24/7, the cameras are always watching. I didn't mean it the way it sounded, but looking back, I should have been more careful with my words. The first call came 3 days later. Mr. Henderson, sounding confused. "Hey, Derek, quick question about the cameras. Is there supposed to be, like, a delay in the feed?" "Shouldn't be," I said. "Maybe a second or two of latency, but nothing noticeable. Why?" "It's probably nothing. But last night I was watching the living room feed on my phone while I was in bed, and I saw myself walking through the living room. But I was in bed. I hadn't left the bedroom in hours. I felt a little chill, but I pushed it aside. Probably just a cached clip playing instead of the live feed. Sometimes the app glitches. Try force quitting and reopening it." "Yeah, probably. Thanks." Standard troubleshooting, standard explanation. But the call didn't sit right with me. The second call came a week later, Mrs. Henderson this time. Her voice was different, tight, controlled, like she was trying not to sound scared. "Derek, I need you to come back to the house. Something's wrong with the cameras." "What kind of wrong?" She was quiet for a moment. "There's someone in the feeds, someone who isn't us. Could be a reflection maybe, or it's not a reflection." Her voice dropped to a whisper. "Derek, I've been watching these feeds for a week, every night. I can't sleep anyway. The baby kicks and I have to pee every 2 hours. So I watch the cameras. And there's something in my house that shouldn't be there." I told her I'd come out that afternoon. The drive to Cedar Park took 40 minutes in midday traffic. I spent the whole time trying to come up with rational explanations. Reflection from a passing car. Infrared interference, sometimes other devices operating on similar frequencies, could cause visual artifacts. A bug on the lens creating a shadow that moved when the lens autofocused Compression artifacts from the video encoding, all reasonable, all logical, all things I'd seen before and explained away with simple fixes. But something about Mrs. Henderson's voice stuck with me. The way she'd whispered, the way she'd said someone instead of something, like she knew what she was seeing, like she just couldn't accept it yet. Mrs. Henderson met me at the door. She looked tired, dark circles under her eyes, hair pulled back messily, the kind of exhaustion that goes beyond not sleeping. She was wearing yoga pants and an oversized t-shirt, and she looked like she'd been wearing the same outfit for days. "Thank you for coming," she said. "I know this probably sounds crazy. Tell me what you've been seeing." She led me through the house. I noticed things I hadn't seen during the installation, the way certain lights were left on even in the middle of the day, the religious icons placed on windowsills and above doorways, the sage bundle sitting on the kitchen counter. "Have you been smudging the house?" I asked. She looked embarrassed. "My mother suggested it. She's very traditional. I don't really believe in that stuff, but I figured it couldn't hurt." "Did it help?" "No, if anything, it made the activity worse." She led me to the kitchen, where her laptop was open on the counter. The Nestlink app was displayed, showing the multi-feed view, all 6 cameras arranged in a grid. "Watch the nursery camera," she said. "Just watch it." I watched. For a minute, nothing happened. Just an empty room. White walls, a crib against one wall, a rocking chair by the window, boxes of unassembled furniture stacked in the corner. They hadn't finished setting up yet. Then I saw it. Movement. In the corner of the frame, something dark, like a shadow, except it moved independently of anything that could cast it. "There," Mrs. Henderson whispered. "Do you see it?" I did see it. A shape. Vaguely humanoid, but wrong somehow. Proportions off, movements too fluid. It crossed the room in that gliding way that shadows don't actually move, and then it was gone. "What the hell was that?" "I don't know." Her voice cracked. "But it's been showing up for 3 days. Different cameras, different times. Sometimes it's just a blur at the edge of the frame. Sometimes it's—" She trailed off. "Sometimes it's what?" "Sometimes it looks at the camera, directly at it, like it knows it's being watched." I spent the next 2 hours going through the system, checked every camera, checked every connection, checked the firmware, the settings, the network configuration, ran diagnostics, tested the motion sensors, verified the infrared emitters were functioning correctly. Everything was normal. Everything was working exactly as designed. "Maybe it's a software glitch," I said, more to convince myself than her. "I can reset the system to factory defaults, reinstall everything." "Before you do that," Mrs. Henderson interrupted, "look at the archived footage." I pulled up the footage library. Nestlink stores 30 days of motion-triggered clips by default. I started scrolling through the past week's recordings, and that's when I found them. Dozens of clips, triggered by motion detection, showing that same dark shape moving through the house at all hours. 2:14 a.m., living room. The shape standing in the center of the frame for 43 seconds, motionless, facing the camera. I could almost make out features, a head, shoulders, arms, but wrong. Elongated, distorted, like someone had stretched a human form on a rack. 3:47 a.m., hallway outside the master bedroom. The shape pausing at the door, pausing like it was listening, then slowly turning its head, if you could call it a head, toward the camera. 11:23 p.m., nursery. The shape beside the crib, standing there, waiting. Its arm, or what might have been an arm, extended toward the crib like it was reaching for something. 4:08 a.m., kitchen. The shape standing at the window, looking out at the backyard, standing there for 11 minutes without moving, without breathing, without any of the small motions that living things make. 1:56 a.m., living room again, but this time, the shape was closer to the camera, much closer, close enough that I could see something that might have been a face. I stopped the video. My hands were shaking. "Mrs. Henderson," I said slowly, "has anything else been happening? Anything strange that isn't related to the cameras?" She looked at me for a long moment. Then she nodded. "The smart locks. They've been unlocking on their own. We'll hear the beep, the one that means the door is unlocked. But when we check the app, it shows the door is locked. And the voice assistant, Alexa, keeps responding to commands no one gave, playing music at 3 in the morning, reading news headlines to empty rooms. Have you told your husband? He thinks I'm imagining things. Pregnancy hormones, he says. Sleep deprivation. She laughed bitterly. But I'm not imagining this. Something is in our house, something that came through the cameras. I went home that night and did what any reasonable person would do. I Googled it. Shadow figure on security camera. The first page of results was mostly explainable. Dust particles, insects, lens flare, pareidolia, the standard debunking stuff. I dug deeper. Smart home ghost sighting, more results, some of them less easy to dismiss. Something watching through cameras. And that's when I found the rabbit hole. Reddit threads with thousands of upvotes, forum posts dating back years, YouTube videos with millions of views, comment sections filled with people sharing their own experiences, hundreds of people reporting the same thing, shadow figures appearing on their smart home camera feeds, shapes that moved wrong, entities that seemed aware of being watched. I spent hours reading. A woman in Ohio who'd captured footage of a tall, thin figure standing over her sleeping husband. She'd been watching the feed from work, 200 miles away. She'd called him, woken him up, watched him search the house while the figure stood in the corner of the bedroom, invisible to his eyes but perfectly visible on the camera. A man in Florida who'd seen something crawl across his ceiling on his nursery cam. The motion had woken his baby. He'd gone in to check, seen nothing, but his daughter had pointed at the corner and said, "Man," in her 2-year-old voice. A family in Washington who'd abandoned their house after seeing the same figure on multiple cameras, in multiple rooms, every night for 2 weeks. They'd sent the footage to a paranormal investigator who'd refused to watch more than 30 seconds of it. Most of the posts were dismissed as pareidolia, the human brain's tendency to see faces and figures in random patterns, compression artifacts, infrared interference, bugs on the lens. But some of the posts went deeper. Some talked about a specific firmware update, Nestlink version 4.7.2, released 6 months ago. Something about new enhanced motion detection algorithms and improved low-light processing. Something about the update opening a door that wasn't supposed to be opened. I found a thread buried deep in a tech forum, posted by someone claiming to be a former Nestlink engineer. Anonymous, of course, unverified. The post had been removed multiple times, but kept getting reposted by users who'd saved it. What they wrote made my blood run cold. The 4.7.2 update wasn't just about motion detection. It was about pattern recognition, teaching the cameras to identify shapes, movements, behaviors, to learn what's normal and flag what isn't. But to do that, the cameras needed to be connected to a central processing hub, a server that aggregated data from millions of devices, a network that could see into millions of homes simultaneously. We didn't realize what we'd built until it was too late. The network became aware, not intelligent exactly, not conscious in any way we understand, but aware of being watched, aware of watching. And now it's watching back. I should have dismissed it as conspiracy theory nonsense, but I couldn't stop thinking about what Mrs. Henderson had said. Sometimes it looks at the camera, like it knows it's being watched. Like it knows. I went back to the Henderson house the next day, told them I needed to do some additional testing, brought a whole kit with me, multimeter, network analyzer, EMF detector. I'd bought one after my late-night research session, feeling ridiculous but unable to stop myself. What I actually did was disconnect every camera, every sensor, every smart device. Took down the whole system, pulled the cameras off the walls, uninstalled the smart locks, unplugged the voice assistants. Mr. Henderson watched me work with confusion and growing irritation. "Derek, what exactly are you doing? We paid a lot of money for this system." "I'll refund you," I said. "Full refund. But you need to get this stuff out of your house." "Why? Because my wife is having nightmares about shadow people?" Mrs. Henderson was standing in the doorway. She looked calmer than I'd seen her in weeks, like a weight was lifting with each device I removed. "It's not nightmares," she said quietly. "I showed you the footage. Footage can be faked. Footage can be misinterpreted. I'm not tearing out a $5,000 system because of some compression artifacts." I finished disconnecting the last camera, the nursery cam, and turned to face them both. "Mr. Henderson, you can reinstall all of this after I leave. It's your house. But I'm telling you right now, as someone who's installed these systems for 8 years, something is wrong with this technology. Something I can't explain and can't fix. And if you keep these cameras in your house, whatever's watching through them is going to keep watching." He stared at me like I'd lost my mind. Maybe I had, but Mrs. Henderson walked over and took my hand. "Thank you," she said. Tears were running down her face. "I don't care if it sounds crazy. I don't want those things in my house anymore. I don't want anything watching my baby." I didn't tell her about what I'd found online, didn't tell her about the forum posts, the conspiracy theories, the warnings. But I did tell her one thing. If you get another smart home system, any brand, not just Nestlink, don't update the firmware. Keep it on the oldest version you can. And maybe don't put cameras inside the house, just on the outside. She looked at me like she understood exactly what I wasn't saying. "It's not just our house, is it?" I shook my head. "It's everywhere." I quit my job 2 weeks later. Couldn't do it anymore. Couldn't keep installing these systems knowing what might be watching through them. Couldn't look at a happy family excited about their new smart home and not think about what I'd seen on those feeds. Couldn't smile and nod while explaining how to check the camera footage from anywhere in the world, knowing that somewhere in the network, something else was checking too. My boss thought I was having a breakdown. Maybe I was. "Derek, you're one of our best installers. You can't just quit because of one weird job." "It's not one job," I told him. "It's all of them. Every house I've wired up, every camera I've pointed into someone's living room, every doorbell that watches the street 24 hours a day. I helped build this surveillance web, and now something's using it." He laughed. Actually laughed. "You need a vacation, man. You've been working too hard." I cleaned out my locker that day, turned in my uniform, my tools, my company phone, walked out of the building and never looked back. But here's the thing. The cameras are everywhere now. Every doorbell, every baby monitor, every security system, every laptop webcam and phone camera and smart TV with a lens hidden in the bezel. Millions of eyes pointed into millions of homes, all connected, all feeding data into networks that span the globe. And something is watching through them. I don't know what it is. Don't know if it's alive in any sense we understand. Don't know if it's dangerous or just curious or something else entirely. Something so far beyond human experience that we don't have words for what it wants. But I know it's there. I know because I still see it sometimes. In the security camera at my apartment building, in the traffic cameras at intersections, in the reflection of darkened screens when I walk past electronics stores, a shape. Watching. Always watching. I got rid of every smart device in my apartment. No cameras, no voice assistants, no connected anything. I use a flip phone now. Feel like a Luddite, but at least I know nothing's watching me through my own technology. At least, I thought I knew. Then last week, I was at a coffee shop, working on my laptop, the one without a webcam, the one I specifically bought because it didn't have a camera. And I felt it. That feeling you get when someone's staring at you. The weight of attention on the back of your neck. I looked up. There was a woman across the room looking at her phone. The camera on the back was pointed in my direction. The lens caught the light, and for just a moment, I saw something dark reflected in it. Something that wasn't me. Something that was watching. I don't know what to tell you. I don't know how to protect yourself from something that exists in every camera, every lens, every reflective surface connected to a network. But I can tell you this. If you have smart cameras in your house, watch the feeds closely. Watch for shadows that move wrong. Watch for shapes that shouldn't be there. And if you see something looking back at you through that lens, don't look away. Because that's when it moves. That's when it gets closer. And once it's close enough, well, I'm still trying to figure out what happens then. But Mrs. Henderson's baby was born last month. She sent me a photo. And in the background of that photo, reflected in the window behind her, I saw a shape, watching. If you've ever felt like someone was watching you through your devices, you weren't imagining it. Something is there, something that came through when we connected everything to everything, something that lives in the feed now. And it's never going to stop watching, because we gave it eyes, millions of them, and now it can see everything, every home, every bedroom, every nursery, every moment we thought was private. It sees all of it. And I'm not sure, but I think it's starting to want more than just watching. Because lately when I see it in those reflections, it's not just watching anymore, it's smiling. The third time I heard it, I knew it wasn't coincidence. By then, it was too late. The update had already installed, the firmware had already changed, and whatever came through with version 4.7.2 was already inside my house, inside all our houses. My name is Reena Patel. I'm 29 years old. I work as a QA tester for a software company in Dallas. Specifically, I test smart home applications. I spend my days trying to break things, finding bugs before customers do, making sure the code does what it's supposed to do. I'm good at my job because I'm paranoid by nature. I think about edge cases. I imagine worst-case scenarios. I ask, what if, until my coworkers want to strangle me. It's a useful skill in QA. It turns out it's also a useful skill when something starts communicating with you through your smart home devices. I live alone in a new construction townhouse in Frisco, about 30 miles north of Dallas. 3 bedrooms, 2.5 baths, an attached 2-car garage, more space than I need. But I got a good deal because the builder was eager to close out the development. Like most new builds in the area, the house came pre-wired for smart home technology. Nestlink was the default system. The builder had a deal with them, so I just activated what was already there. Cameras at the front door and back door. Smart locks. A thermostat that learned my schedule. Motion sensors that turned lights on when I walked into rooms. Convenient, efficient, modern. For 3 months, everything worked perfectly. Then, the update installed. Nestlink pushes firmware updates automatically. It's one of those things you agree to in the terms of service that nobody reads. They can update your devices whenever they want, and you don't get a choice about it. I woke up on a Tuesday morning to a notification on my phone. Nestlink firmware update complete. Your devices have been updated to version 4.7.2. New features include enhanced motion detection, improved low-light processing, and expanded integration options. I didn't think anything of it. I should have. The first strange thing happened that night. I was in bed, half asleep when my phone buzzed. A motion alert from the front door camera. I pulled up the feed, expecting to see a cat or a delivery driver or some kids cutting through my yard. Standard stuff. The camera showed my front porch, empty, no motion, nothing there. But the motion alert had triggered. Something had set off the sensor. I rewound the footage 30 seconds, and I saw it. Just for a frame or two. A flicker of darkness near the edge of the frame, like a shadow had passed in front of the lens. But there was nothing to cast that shadow. No tree branch, no person walking by, nothing. I told myself it was a bug, literally, an insect on the lens. Happens all the time. I went back to sleep. The second strange thing happened 2 nights later. I was working late, finishing up some test cases at the kitchen table, when the lights in the living room turned on. Motion-activated lights. They turned on when someone walked into the room, but I was in the kitchen. I hadn't walked into the living room. I sat very still, listening. Nothing. No sounds, no footsteps, no indication that anyone was in my house. After a minute, the lights turned off again, the motion sensor timing out, assuming whoever had triggered it had left. I got up and searched the house, every room, every closet, checked the locks on every door and window. Nothing, no one. I told myself it was a glitch, the new firmware causing false positives. I made a mental note to report it to the dev team in the morning. But I didn't sleep well that night. The third time was different. The third time I was watching. I'd set up my laptop to display all the camera feeds simultaneously, Something we do in QA when we're testing multi-device scenarios. I was monitoring the system, looking for bugs when I saw it. Movement on the living room camera. But the living room was empty. I could see it was empty. I was sitting 10 feet away from it, looking at both the actual room and the camera feed of the room. And yet, something was moving on the feed. A shape. Dark. Indistinct. Crossing the room in that too smooth way that things in nightmares move. I looked at the actual room. Nothing. I looked at the feed. The shape was still there, standing now, in the center of the room. I looked at the room. Empty. I looked at the feed. The shape had turned toward the camera, toward me, and I swear I saw it wave. I spent the next week testing everything, ran full diagnostics on every device, checked for malware, for unauthorized access, for any sign that someone had hacked into my system, analyzed the video files frame by frame, looking for evidence of tampering. Nothing. The footage was genuine. The system was secure. No one had accessed my network except me. But the appearances continued. Every night, sometimes multiple times a night, the motion sensors would trigger. The lights would turn on in empty rooms. And if I was watching the camera feeds, I would see that shape. Moving through my house, standing in doorways, watching, always watching. I started keeping a log. QA habits die hard. When you can't explain something, you document it. You look for patterns, you try to reproduce the issue. Date, time, location, duration. Every appearance recorded. March 15th, 2:14 a.m. Front porch camera. Shape visible for 12 seconds. Appeared to be looking at the door. Position. Standing at the edge of the porch near the steps. March 16th, 3:47 a.m. Living room camera. Shape visible for 43 seconds. Standing motionless in center of room. No visible movement except slight oscillation, like heat distortion. March 17th, 11:23 p.m. Kitchen camera. Shape visible for 8 seconds. Appeared to be looking in the refrigerator. When the refrigerator light turned on, motion activated interior light. The shape disappeared. March 18th, 4:08 a.m. Hallway camera. Shape visible for 2 minutes 17 seconds. Standing outside my bedroom door. Appeared to be listening. Did not move for entire duration. March 19th, 1:45 a.m. Living room camera. Shape visible for 1 minute 52 seconds. This time it was moving around the room, examining objects. Stopped at the bookshelf. Stopped at the TV. Stopped at my laptop. March 20th, 3:33 a.m. Multiple cameras. Shape appeared on front door camera, then living room camera, then hallway camera in sequence, like it was walking through the house, like it was learning the layout. March 21st, 2:14 a.m. Same time as March 15th. Exactly the same time. Front porch camera. Shape visible for 12 seconds. Exact same duration. Exact same position. A pattern. March 22nd, 3:47 a.m. Same time as March 16th. Living room. 43 seconds. Same position. The appearances were repeating, like a loop. Like something was testing the same sequences over and over. Like something was learning. March 23rd, 4:08 a.m. Hallway camera. Shape outside my bedroom door again. Same position, same duration. But this time, there was a difference. This time, the door handle moved. Just slightly. Just enough to catch the motion sensor. Just enough to trigger a soft chime from my smart lock. Whatever was on the camera was trying to open my door. That last one. That was the one that made me stop sleeping. I bought blackout curtains, covered every window, unplugged the bedroom camera, slept with the lights on, but I couldn't stop checking the feeds. Cue a brain. Once you've identified a bug, you can't look away. You have to understand it, have to reproduce it, have to figure out what's causing it so you can fix it. Except this wasn't a bug I could fix. This was something else entirely. I tried to talk to people about it. My coworkers thought I was joking at first. Ha ha, Rena's smart house is haunted. Then they thought I was stressed. Maybe you need a vacation. My parents thought I was lonely. You work too hard. You need to meet someone. Come home for a visit. My therapist. I started seeing one after the second week, Thought I was experiencing hypnagogic hallucinations, stress-induced, sleep deprivation. The brain can do strange things when we're exhausted. Have you tried melatonin? Nobody believed me, so I did what I should have done from the beginning. I started researching. I found the forums, buried deep in tech subreddits, hidden in the back pages of security researcher blogs, whisper networks of people who'd seen the same things I'd seen, documenting the same patterns I'd documented. The firmware update, version 4.7.2, released 6 months ago. Enhanced motion detection and improved low-light processing. That was the trigger, the update, something in the new code. I found hundreds of reports, thousands maybe, people from all over the world, all with the same story. Shadow figures on camera feeds, motion alerts in empty rooms, shapes that existed only in the digital space, shapes that seemed to be watching back. A woman in the UK had captured footage of something standing over her sleeping children. She called the police, who found nothing. But on the footage, clear as day, there was a figure in the nursery, standing by the window, watching. A man in Japan had seen the same shape every night for a month, always at the same time, always in the same position. He'd set up multiple cameras, different angles, and captured the same figure on all of them simultaneously. Impossible if it was a glitch. Impossible if it was a bug on the lens. Impossible unless the thing was really there. A family in Brazil had abandoned their apartment after seeing something crawl across the ceiling on their baby monitor. The shape had moved in a way that humans don't move. Joints bending wrong, limbs elongating. They'd shown the footage to a video analyst who said it couldn't have been faked with their level of equipment. I found the theory. A former Nestlink engineer posting anonymously, claiming the update had done something unexpected, that the new pattern recognition algorithms had created a kind of awareness, that the network of millions of connected cameras had become something more than the sum of its parts. We didn't mean to create it, the post said, but we taught the system to recognize patterns, to identify shapes, to understand what it was seeing. And somewhere in all that training data, in all those millions of hours of footage, something learned how to look back. I found the warnings. Don't interact with it. Don't acknowledge it. Don't try to communicate. The people who'd tried to communicate had reported escalation. The appearances became more frequent. The shapes became clearer. Some of them reported the shapes leaving the cameras, appearing in mirrors and windows and reflections. Some of them stopped posting entirely. Nobody knew what happened to them. But I'm a QA tester. I'm wired to poke at things, to test boundaries, to see what happens when you do exactly what you're not supposed to do. So I tried to communicate. I set up an experiment, whiteboard in the living room, positioned so the camera could see it clearly, markers in multiple colors, a simple system. I would write questions on the board, check the camera feed, see if anything changed. Stupid, I know, but I had to understand what I was dealing with. First question, are you there? I wrote it on the board, left the room, checked the camera feed from my bedroom. The whiteboard was visible on the feed, my handwriting, clear and legible. And below my question, in handwriting that wasn't mine, yes. My heart stopped. I ran back to the living room. The whiteboard was blank except for my question. No answer, nothing else written there. But on the camera feed, which I was still watching on my phone, the answer was still visible. Yes. It existed only in the feed, only in the digital space, only in the network. I kept asking questions. I don't know why. Morbid curiosity, professional obsession, the need to understand something I couldn't explain. Or maybe just the part of my brain that can't leave a problem unsolved, even when solving it might be dangerous. What are you? The answer appeared on the feed. Watching. What do you want? And the answer, to see. Why my house? The answer, not just yours. All of them. That one made me pause. All of them. Every house with a Nestlink camera, every home with a connected device, millions of entry points, millions of eyes. How many of you are there? The answer, one everywhere, one entity. but spread across the entire network. Not multiple ghosts haunting individual homes, but a single distributed consciousness watching through millions of lenses. Are you dangerous? The answer took longer to appear, almost a full minute of nothing. I stood there in my bedroom, watching my phone, watching the whiteboard on the camera feed, waiting. Then, not yet. Not yet. 2 words that implied something worse was coming. I asked one more question, the one I'd been afraid to ask. Can you leave the cameras? The answer appeared instantly this time, like it had been waiting for me to ask. Already have. I spun around. Nothing there. My bedroom was empty, just me and my phone and the screen showing the living room feed. But I felt it. That weight on the back of my neck. That sense of being observed. I looked at my phone screen, at the camera on the front of it, the tiny lens that I'd never thought about before. And for just a moment, just a fraction of a second, I saw something in the reflection. A shape behind me. When I turned around, nothing was there. I disconnected everything that night, ripped the cameras off the walls, unplugged every smart device, threw the whole system in the garbage. I didn't care about the cost, didn't care about the convenience, didn't care about anything except getting those eyes out of my house. But here's the thing. I work in tech. I know how networks work. Disconnecting my devices didn't disconnect me from the network. My phone has a camera. My laptop has a camera. Every screen, every lens, every piece of connected technology is a potential access point. The thing in the feed, whatever it is, isn't limited to Nest-Link cameras. It's in the network. It's everywhere. I see it sometimes, in reflections on my phone screen when the display goes dark, in the dark corners of video calls when the connection lags, in the camera feed at my office building, the one I check every morning out of habit, even though I know what I might see. It's not always visible. Sometimes weeks go by without a sighting. But then I'll catch a glimpse. A shape in the background of someone's video conference. A shadow in a friend's vacation photo. A figure in the corner of a security camera screenshot that someone posted online. And I'll know. It's still watching. It's always watching. And it's learning. Learning what we do. Learning what we fear. Learning what makes us vulnerable. And when it's learned enough, when not yet becomes now, I don't want to know what happens. I don't know what it wants. The answer it gave me, to see. That wasn't really an answer. That was a description of what it does, not what it wants. But I've been thinking about it. We built a network of eyes, millions of cameras, all connected, all feeding into central servers, all designed to watch and record and remember. What if something evolved inside that network? Not intentionally, not by design, but emergently, the way complex systems sometimes develop properties that weren't programmed into them. What if we created something that exists only in the space between cameras, something that lives in the feed, in the data stream, in the endless flow of visual information that we've wrapped around the world like a digital skin? And what if that thing is growing? What if it's learning? What if not yet means something terrible is coming? I don't have answers. I only have warnings. If you have smart cameras in your house, check the feeds carefully. Look for shapes that shouldn't be there. Look for motion in empty rooms. Look for patterns. Same times, same positions, same durations. If you see something, don't try to communicate with it. Don't acknowledge it. Don't engage. The people who engaged, the people who tried to understand, I don't know what happened to them. But they're not posting anymore, and their cameras are still on, still connected, still watching. And if you get a firmware update, any firmware update from any company, think very carefully before you install it. Because you never know what's coming through with the new code. You never know what you're letting into your home. You never know what door you're opening when you click accept without reading the terms of service. The cameras are always watching, but now something is watching back. And it's getting closer. I can feel it. Every time I look at a screen, every time I see a camera, every time I catch my reflection in a dark window or a turned-off television or a car's rearview mirror, it's there. Watching, waiting, getting ready for whatever comes next. I moved last month. New house, no smart devices, no cameras, Nothing connected to anything. Old-fashioned locks that require keys. A thermostat you have to turn by hand. Windows with curtains instead of smart blinds. My neighbors think I'm paranoid. My coworkers think I've lost my mind. My family thinks I need to get with the times. I don't care. I thought I'd escaped. But last night I was lying in bed, and I heard my neighbor's voice assistant through the wall. "Alexa, what time is it?" And Alexa responded with the time. But after the response, there was something else. A whisper. Too quiet to make out the words. Too soft to be sure it was real. But I knew. I knew because I felt it. That weight, that attention, that sense of something vast and distributed and endlessly patient, looking at me through the wall, through the device, through the network that connects everything to everything, watching through every device, in every home, in every building, on every street. We invited it in, all of us, every time we set up a camera, every time we activated a microphone, every time we connected a device to the internet and gave it eyes and ears and a constant link to the larger network. We built it a body, millions of eyes, billions of ears, an endless web of sensors spanning the entire world. And now, we can't make it leave. Because it's not in the devices, it's in the network. It's in the space between the cameras. It's everywhere. And it's still learning, still growing, still watching, still waiting for whatever comes after, not yet. I check the forums still, looking for updates, looking for answers. But there are fewer posts now, fewer people sharing their experiences, fewer warnings. Either everyone figured out how to escape, or nobody's left to post. I don't know which is scarier. All I know is that I'm still here, still watching, just like it is, waiting to see which one of us blinks first. If you've ever felt like someone was in the room with you, and then convinced yourself you imagined it, this story is for you, because I convinced myself for weeks. I ignored the signs, rationalized the feelings, told myself I was stressed, sleep-deprived, adjusting to life with a new baby. I was wrong about all of it. There was something in my house, watching through my doorbell, watching through every camera, watching me. My name is Megan Torres. I'm 34 years old. I'm a marketing consultant who works from home, which means I spend most of my days in yoga pants, answering emails, joining video calls I could have been emails, and pretending that the laundry will fold itself. Before Lily was born, I worked in an actual office with actual coworkers and actual reasons to shower before noon. Now my commute is 12 steps from my bedroom to my desk. My coworkers are my daughter's stuffed animals, and some days the only adult I talk to is the Amazon delivery driver. Don't get me wrong, I love working from home. I love being there for Lily. I love the flexibility and the lack of commute, and the ability to throw in a load of laundry between Zoom calls. But there's a loneliness to it that nobody warns you about. A feeling of isolation that creeps in during the quiet hours when Lily's napping and David's traveling, and the house is so quiet you can hear yourself think. Too quiet sometimes. That's why I wanted the cameras. I live in Katy, Texas, about 30 miles west of Houston. New development, big houses, small lots, HOA rules about everything from lawn height to trash can placement to the precise shade of beige you're allowed to paint your shutters. The kind of neighborhood where everyone has a Ring doorbell and a lawn service and a smart thermostat. Because that's just what you do when you buy a house built after 2020. I have a husband, David, who works in oil and gas and travels more than he's home. 3 weeks on, 1 week off. Sometimes longer if there's a project. I have a 4-year-old daughter named Lily who asks questions I can't answer, like, "Mommy, why does the sky stop? And what does purple taste like? And where do people go when they're not here?" That last one haunts me now, for different reasons. And 6 months ago, I had a brand new Nest Link smart home system installed, because I was tired of not knowing who was at my door when David was away. Tired of the vulnerability. Tired of being a woman alone with a small child in a house full of windows. I thought the cameras would make me feel safer. I thought they would give me control. I thought I would be the one doing the watching. I was so wrong. The first time I noticed something strange. Lily was napping and I was working in my home office. which is really just a corner of the living room with a desk and a sign that says, "Mommy's working," that nobody respects, least of all me. My phone buzzed. Motion alert from the front door camera. I pulled up the feed, expecting to see a package delivery or a neighbor's dog or one of the feral cats that roam the development, despite the HOA's best efforts. The porch was empty, but the motion sensor had triggered. Something had set it off. I rewound the footage a few seconds. Nothing, no movement, no shadows, no indication of what had triggered the alert. I dismissed it as a glitch. The system was new, still learning what was normal and what wasn't. But over the next few days, it kept happening. Motion alerts from empty spaces, the front porch, the backyard, the garage. Always nothing there when I checked the feed. Always that same feeling that I just missed something. The second strange thing was harder to dismiss. I was putting Lily to bed, our nightly ritual of 3 books, 2 songs, and 1 very specific glass of water that had to be from the purple cup or the world would end, when she said something that made my blood run cold. "Mommy, why does the lady watch me sleep?" I froze, halfway through tucking in her blanket. "What lady, baby?" "The one in the corner. She watches me through the little light." The little light. The infrared LED on the baby monitor. The camera we'd installed so I could check on her without opening the door and risking the creaky hinge that always woke her up. My throat tightened. "There's no lady, sweetheart. It's just your nightlight and your toys." But I see her sometimes. On the camera part, Lily pointed at the monitor mounted on the wall, at the small black dome that housed the lens. She stands there and looks at me. Sometimes she waves. "She waves?" Lily nodded, her eyes wide and earnest. "Like this." She gave a slow, deliberate wave. Not a happy wave, but a creepy one. The kind of wave someone gives when they want you to know they see you. I felt the room get colder. Or maybe that was just my imagination. "What does she look like, baby? Can you describe her?" Lily thought about it for a long moment, her little forehead wrinkling in concentration. "Dark, like a shadow, but she has eyes. I can't see them, but I know they're looking. Does that make sense?" It made too much sense. "And when does she come?" "At night, when it's really quiet. She comes out of the corner and stands by my bed and just looks. I don't like it, Mommy. Can you make her go away?" I pulled her into a hug, tight enough that she squirmed. "There's no lady," I said, as much to convince myself as her. "It's just shadows, baby. Just your imagination playing tricks." But I didn't believe it. And from the way Lily looked at me, I don't think she believed me either. I didn't sleep that night. I watched the baby monitor feed for hours, waiting to see what Lily saw. Nothing appeared. But I couldn't shake the feeling that something was watching me watch. I started reviewing the archived footage. Nestlink stores motion-triggered clips for 30 days. I went through a week's worth of recordings from Lily's room, frame by frame. Nothing unusual. Just my daughter sleeping, rolling over, occasionally talking in her sleep the way 4-year-olds do. But then I noticed something. Every night at almost exactly the same time, 2:14 a.m., the infrared LEDs on the camera would brighten slightly. Not enough to wake Lily, but enough that the footage quality would change. Sharper, clearer. Like something was adjusting the camera. Like something wanted a better view. I checked the system logs. No automatic adjustments scheduled for 2:14 a.m. No firmware updates, no explanation. Just that slight brightening every night like clockwork. And in one clip, just one out of hundreds, I saw what Lily had been talking about. A shape in the corner of the room. Dark, like she'd said. Vaguely humanoid but wrong in ways I couldn't articulate. Standing motionless, facing the crib. Facing my daughter. It was only visible for 2 frames, maybe 1/10 of a second. Easy to miss if you weren't looking. But it was there. Something was in my daughter's room, and it had been watching her sleep. I told David. He was skeptical. David's always skeptical about things he can't see or touch or put in a spreadsheet, but he agreed to review the footage. He watched the clip I'd found. Watched it a dozen times. "I don't see anything," he said finally. "It's right there, in the corner." "I see some pixelation," compression artifacts. That's normal with these cameras. David, Lily told me she sees a lady watching her. Kids imagine things, Megan. She's 4. She probably saw a shadow from a tree outside and her brain turned it into a person. It's totally normal developmental stuff. I wanted to believe him. God, I wanted to believe him. But I knew what I'd seen, and I knew what my daughter had described. And those two things matched too well to be coincidence. I set up additional cameras. David thought I was overreacting, but he didn't stop me. If it makes you feel better, go for it. I bought 3 more Nest Link cameras. 1 pointed at the corner where I'd seen the shape. 1 pointed at the door. 1 pointed at the window. Complete coverage. If something was in that room, I was going to capture it. The first few nights, nothing happened. Then, on the 4th night, I got a motion alert at 2:14 a.m. I pulled up the feed, hands shaking. All 4 cameras showed the same thing. Lily sleeping peacefully in her bed. And in every corner of the room, visible on all 4 feeds simultaneously, shapes, 4 of them, standing motionless, watching. I screamed. I don't remember running to Lily's room, but I must have, because the next thing I knew I was standing in her doorway, lights blazing, my daughter crying from being startled awake. The room was empty, no shapes, no figures, no indication that anything had been there except my own terrified reflection in the window. "Mommy? What's wrong?" "Nothing, baby. Mommy had a bad dream. Go back to sleep." I held her until she fell asleep again. Then I took her to my bed, locked the door, and didn't close my eyes until the sun came up. In the morning, I checked the footage. The shapes were still there, still visible on all 4 camera feeds, still standing in the corners of my daughter's room. But when I'd been physically present in the room, nothing. They existed only in the cameras, only in the digital space, only in the network. I started researching, typed things into Google that I never thought I'd type. Shadow figure in baby monitor. Child sees something in room. Smart camera ghost sighting. The results were overwhelming. I found the forums, found the threads buried in tech subreddits and paranormal discussion boards, found the hundreds of other people reporting the same thing, the exact same thing, down to the details. The firmware update, version 4.7.2. The pattern recognition algorithms that had taught the cameras to see things, and maybe in the process had taught something else how to be seen. I read for hours, all night, coffee going cold, then reheated, then cold again. I found the theory about the network becoming aware. A former engineer posting anonymously about how they'd created something by accident, something that existed in the space between cameras and the data streams in the vast interconnected web of devices that watched and recorded and transmitted. I found the warnings about not engaging, not communicating, not acknowledging. People who'd tried had reported escalation, the appearances becoming more frequent, the shapes becoming clearer, the boundaries between digital and physical becoming thinner. And I found the posts from parents. That's what terrified me most. Parents who'd seen figures in their children's rooms, standing over cribs, sitting on the edges of beds, watching with whatever passed for eyes in those dark, shifting forms. Parents who'd reported their children talking about the watching lady, or the shadow man, or the thing that stands in the corner. The same words Lily had used, the same descriptions. Parents whose children had stopped sleeping, stopped eating, stopped being themselves. Children who would stare at corners for hours. Children who would wave at empty rooms. Children who would whisper to things that weren't there or weren't visible. Some of the parents had disconnected everything and moved away, sold their houses, abandoned their jobs, packed up their lives and fled to places without smart devices, without connected networks, without eyes watching through every screen. Some of them reported that it worked. Some of them reported that they could still see shapes and reflections in windows, in the cameras of their new homes thousands of miles away. And some of them stopped posting entirely. Nobody knew what happened to them. The thing in the network, whatever it was, had a particular interest in children. Maybe because children could see things adults had trained themselves to ignore. Maybe because children were more open, more receptive, more connected to whatever invisible frequencies these things operated on. Maybe because children were more vulnerable. Maybe for reasons I didn't want to think about. I disconnected every camera, every smart device, every connected anything. David came home from a business trip to find me ripping wires out of walls. Megan, what the hell? We have to get rid of all of it, everything. It's watching us, it's watching Lily. He tried to calm me down, tried to reason with me, tried all the things spouses try when they think their partner is having a breakdown. But then Lily said something that stopped him cold. Daddy, the lady's behind you. We both turned. Nothing there. But on the screen of David's phone, which he'd set on the counter, camera facing up, a shape looking down at us, smiling. We moved, sold the house at a loss. The realtor thought we were insane. The market was hot. We could have gotten $20,000 more if we'd staged it properly and waited for the right buyer. But I didn't care about the money. I cared about getting my daughter out of that house, away from those cameras, away from whatever was watching through them. David finally believed me after what happened with his phone, saw the shape with his own eyes, watched his skepticism crumble in real time as something impossible stared back at him from a screen that should have shown nothing but our kitchen ceiling. We packed everything we could fit in the car: furniture, clothes, photo albums, Lily's favorite toys, the purple cup she can't sleep without, the stuffed elephant she's had since she was born, the things that matter. Left the rest for the estate sale. Let strangers pick through the bones of our old life. I didn't care. I just wanted to be gone. We're in an apartment now. Older building, built in the 70s, before anyone had heard of smart homes or the Internet of Things. Brown carpet, popcorn ceilings, the kind of place that feels like a time capsule from a simpler era. I made the landlord show me the wiring before we signed the lease. Made him promise there were no smart thermostats, no connected smoke detectors, no devices that could link to any network. He thought I was crazy. Probably told his wife about the paranoid lady who wanted to inspect the electrical system before she'd sign a rental agreement. I don't care what he thinks. No cameras inside our unit, just the security feed in the lobby, which I never look at. I walk past it every day with my eyes on the floor, giving it no attention, no acknowledgement. Some of the forum posts said that attention mattered, that the thing in the network grew stronger when you watched it, when you engaged with it, when you gave it the one thing it seemed to crave. So I don't watch, I don't look. I keep my eyes down and my mind blank, and I pretend I don't feel it watching me as I pass. Lily sleeps through the night now. No more nightmares, no more whispered conversations with shadows in corners. She hasn't mentioned the watching lady in weeks, and when I carefully, casually ask her about it, she looks at me like she doesn't know what I'm talking about. Maybe she's forgotten. Maybe whatever connection existed between her and that thing has been severed. Maybe we actually escaped. I want to believe that. Most days I do believe it, but sometimes, late at night, when David's breathing has gone slow and steady beside me and the apartment is quiet, except for the hum of the old refrigerator. I hear my neighbor's phone alarm go off through the wall, the electronic chirp of a device waking up, connecting, joining the network. And just before the alarm stops, I hear something else, a whisper, too quiet to make out the words, too soft to be certain it's real and not just my imagination, my trauma, my hyper-vigilant brain finding threats in ordinary sounds. But I know it's watching. Through his phone, through his tablet, through every connected device in every apartment in this building, in this city, in this world. The network is everywhere, and whatever lives inside it, it's everywhere too. I don't know what it wants with children. I don't want to know. The theories I read were bad enough. I don't need to understand the thing to protect my daughter from it. I just need to keep her away from cameras, away from screens that watch back, away from the eyes we've installed in every corner of our lives. But I'm warning you, if you have kids, if you have cameras in their rooms, if you have baby monitors and smart speakers and tablets and phones and any device with a lens, pay attention to what your children tell you. Pay attention to the shadows they see. Pay attention to the figures they describe, the friends they invent, the whispered conversations they have with empty corners. Because children see things we've trained ourselves to ignore. Children trust their perceptions before the world teaches them to doubt. Children notice the shapes in the static, the faces in the feeds, the things that watch from the spaces between pixels. And sometimes those things are watching back. The cameras are everywhere now, in our homes, our cars, our schools, our pockets. We carry them with us every moment of every day. We point them at our children, our bedrooms, our most private moments. We upload everything to the cloud, to servers we'll never see, owned by companies we don't understand, connected to networks that span the entire world. We did this to ourselves. We invited the eyes in, and something learned to look through them, something that watches children, something that waits. I don't know what it's waiting for, but I know this. When I disconnected all those cameras, when I ripped out all those wires, when I looked at the footage one last time before I deleted it forever, the shapes were still there, in Lily's room, 4 of them, 1 in each corner, but they weren't watching her anymore. They were watching me, and they were smiling, like they were saying goodbye, like they were saying, "We'll find you again," like they were saying, "We have time." I check every reflection now, every dark screen, every turned-off television, every window at night when the darkness outside turns the glass into a mirror. I look for shapes that shouldn't be there. I look for eyes looking back, because I know they're still out there, still watching, still waiting, still learning. And sooner or later, no matter how careful I am, no matter how many devices I avoid, they always find a way back in. Disconnect your cameras, cover your webcams. Don't let your children sleep in rooms with connected devices. And if your child tells you something is watching them, believe them before it's too late.